Well, good afternoon, and welcome to IvyLearn Fundamentals, Transitioning Content. My name is Kathy Long. I'm the Senior Training Specialist for the Center for Instructional Technology. Joining me today to help facilitate the question box and also to be our main presenter is Matthew Pittman. Matthew is a former instructional designer on our team and is now our Executive Director for the Center for Instructional Technology. So we're very fortunate to have his expertise online with us today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matthew so we can talk about how we're going to transition content, and we hope you enjoy the presentation. Again, feel free to ask questions at any time and using the question box.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen out here, so give me just one moment. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. I'm looking at Blackboard, but I'm about to switch over. Today we'll be talking about transitioning content, and to sort of set the tone for that, I want to kind of go through the 3 levels and 4 methods of content transition that we've sort of identified. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up this real brief slide presentation, just kind of walk you through so we can all identify what we're talking about, and then we'll go into the actual process of transitioning content from Blackboard to IvyLearn. So as we started into this process and trying to figure out, you know, what all content do we need to transfer, we tried to identify sort of what are the 3 major types of courses, or what are the major types of courses, and we identified 3. So there's sort of 3 types of courses, or 3 buckets that the courses that you teach might fall into. The first bucket is statewide courses. So those are courses that are primarily, you know, managed by our teams, the Center for Instructional Technology. These include, you know, the statewide online courses such as like Psychology 101, or Computer Science 101, or Accounting 225, and as well as the Include Ed courses that, you know, can be used in both online and as well as face-to-face courses. And we also help work with the technology division courses, so the automotive and various technology courses, industrial technology, advanced manufacturing, stuff like that. We help manage those as well, and also courses such as Math 122 and 123, some of the synchronous video math courses that we have offered here at Ivy Tech as well. Those courses, if you teach one of those, you don't need to worry about transitioning the content yourself. That's the responsibility of our department, as well as our partners that we work with in the tech division and the math curriculum committee, to move those courses over for you. So that content's being centrally managed by our department, and the content will become available to you in IvyLearn through Commons, which I'll show you in a little bit, and you'll just be able to load that right into your course right in IvyLearn. You don't need to worry about pulling any of those courses over from Blackboard to IvyLearn, unless, of course, you're a course mentor. I know I saw several of you in the attendees list, in which case, obviously, you are moving those for us as part of the Center for Instructional Technologies efforts. So the statewide courses, as a normal instructor, you don't need to worry about moving that content over. It's going to happen for you. The second sort of bucket of courses that we have are the regional or curriculum committee courses. And there are some courses that are not considered statewide courses that are managed by our department, but that curriculum committees manage, that they use maybe in their face-to-face courses. And there are obviously courses in your region where maybe your program chair maintains one copy of a course that everyone in your region uses and just pushes it out to all the faculty teaching that course in that region. Those courses, again, are sort of centrally managed, not by necessarily my department, but perhaps by someone in your region or a curriculum committee. And if you teach one of those types of courses, then again, that content will likely be transitioned by that group, and you won't need to move that content yourself. And likely that content will also be pushed out via Commons and made available to you to load right in IvyLearn. But there is a really large basket here at the end, the individual courses, and this is probably you know, most of the courses that you guys are worried about. These are courses where you maintain the content. There isn't a central sort of course that you're downloading and then using. These are courses that you've developed and maintained yourself for your face-to-face hybrid or other delivery method courses. And that means that you will be responsible for transitioning that content, and as the purpose of today's webinar is to really kind of walk you through that. But wanted to identify that there are 3 kinds of courses, and if you're worried about your statewide course, that's not something that you need to do the work for yourself. It's going to be taken care of for you by a course mentor or a regional online technology person who's helping us out with that. So that's kind of the 3 types of courses that we have, the 3, what we consider levels of courses. So let's talk about the 4 methods for building courses in IvyLearn. We sort of have identified 4 options here, ranging from the best option at the top to the worst option at the bottom. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these, but obviously, we recommend doing something at the top of the scale rather than towards the bottom. As you'll see, it's very easy to try any of these methods, and if you find that your results aren't as good as you'd like, it's very easy to clean it out and start over again. So the top option then is to import a course that's been developed centrally or regionally from Commons once it's available. So this would be that option if you're teaching a statewide course or maybe a regionally developed single version course. You're just going to grab that right in Commons, which is a feature in IvyLearn, and load that right into your course shell, and all the content will be there, and you might have to just go in and adjust the syllabus to include your information, that sort of normal setup stuff. That's obviously going to be the easiest option. You'll start with a full course and just be able to work from there. But obviously not, if you're maintaining your own content, then that's obviously not going to be an option for you. So the following 3 options after that are all the options you can use if you're maintaining and moving the content yourself. And so that includes starting with build your course in IvyLearn from scratch, okay? And you might be thinking, really, you're suggesting that I go in and I start over from scratch and build everything from scratch. In theory, yes, we are recommending that. It actually is one of the better ways to get your course into IvyLearn because if you've ever worked in Blackboard in your course and you've ever had any of the weird little Blackboard gremlins that come up, things that you can't delete, or font sizes that don't stay consistent no matter how many times you change them, all of those issues are going to come over if you export your course from Blackboard and dump it into IvyLearn, okay? So if you want to clean up your course and get it fresh and looking nice in IvyLearn, the best option is really to rebuild from scratch, putting all that material over item by item manually. And so that is really what we consider the best option. But obviously, if you have a really well-developed course that has a ton of content in it, that's going to be a pretty lengthy task. But you will find that actually the time that it takes to do that manually is about equivalent to the time it would take you to go with the bottom option here, which is to export an entire course from Blackboard and dump the entire thing into IvyLearn. The time that you spend fixing it and cleaning it up, if you actually go through and do that work, really ends up being about equal to just rebuilding it manually in IvyLearn. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this, but remember that you can try any of these options. So if you want to start with the full course dump into IvyLearn, you can do that and see how it comes out, and then if it ends up being like this is going to be a ton of work to fix it, you can always clear it out, and I'll show you how to do that. The middle ground between dumping your entire course from Blackboard into IvyLearn and building it from scratch is exporting pieces and parts of your course from Blackboard and then importing that into IvyLearn and building the remaining pieces from scratch. That actually is what we sort of imagine most people will do and is probably considered the best practice here, to really take only the necessary pieces from Blackboard and import that into IvyLearn rather than taking the whole course and dumping that into IvyLearn. So, and that's what we'll talk about today in the process that we show. So again, if you're teaching a statewide or regional course, your method of getting your course is going to be grabbing it from Commons, and you'll be notified as those courses become available, and you can come onto Commons and grab those and dump them into your courses. That'll be really easy. I'll show you how to load stuff from Commons today. It is very, very simple, very easy process. So we'll show you that in just a moment. But if you have an individual course, so a course that you're managing the content for, or you're a course mentor who's moving a statewide course, then you're going to have to follow into one of these 3 options. Building your course from scratch, exporting only the needed pieces, and then building the rest from scratch, or exporting the entire course and putting that into IvyLearn. And so we're going to go ahead and jump over into IvyLearn at this point and Blackboard and show you sort of what this process looks like. So when we talk about the transition, we do have some material for you to make it a little bit easier for you to manage that process. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat box the link to what we call our Blackboard to IvyLearn transition guide, okay? And so I've put that in the chat box for you, and so you can click on it, check it out. This document is highly recommended. Take a look at it. We do update it frequently, so you will want to probably bookmark it and come back to it as you're working on things. But this document details all of the steps from exporting your course in Blackboard to importing the content in IvyLearn, using the statewide template, which is what we recommend, and loading that from Commons first, and then what do you have to do once your content is in IvyLearn? What do I have to do to fix it or make it look right in IvyLearn? So that's uplifting course content in IvyLearn. This document is going to walk you through step-by-step that process with pictures and everything, so it's real easy to work through that. So I'm going to kind of walk through this a little bit and show you sort of the different pieces and parts of this process. So we'll start in Blackboard because, as I said, in many cases you're probably going to want to try at least starting with something from Blackboard, unless you decide you want to go the route of just rebuilding from scratch. So in Blackboard, I would just locate my course, and I have a ton of courses. So I've already loaded the course I want on the left-hand side here. And when I'm in my course, I'm going to want to create an export file. Okay, and so to create an export file in my course in Blackboard, I'm going to scroll down, and in the control panel, I'm going to locate the packages and utilities option. So again, in your course, under control panel, locate the packages and utilities. I'm going to click on packages and utilities, and then I'm going to locate the export archive course option. So again, that's under control panel, packages and utilities, export archive course. All right, so you're going to go ahead and click on that link, and on the export archive course page, we're going to see several options. First, you'll have a list of any existing exports or archives that have been created for this course, and as you can see, there are several because I've used this for demos this week. You'll also see there's a button for export package, and you may or may not see a button for archive course. I believe that's currently disabled, so you actually can't see it, but what we really want is an export. The main difference between these two are archive includes student data, which you can't pull over into IvyLearn anyways, so we don't want to pull an archive. It just makes the file bigger for no benefit to you. You're going to click on the export package button, and that's going to bring up the export package page. On the export course page, you're going to have several options. Okay, first of all, under file attachments, you've got a couple of radio buttons that you can select. You can use the defaults here. If you want a slightly, potentially slightly cleaner export, you can on this second option here under files outside of the course default directory. You can choose this top radio button to only copy links to files outside of the course default directory. So this can sometimes create a slightly cleaner export file, but it's not necessary that you do that if you don't want to. So I usually just leave it the default options, but just wanted to make you aware you can choose that if you'd like. But you definitely want to leave the top one to the default. As we go down here under select course materials, this is where I would go ahead and pick what content do I want to pull out of Blackboard. If I'm going with that last option, the red option of export everything and dump everything, then I'm just going to click the select all button. It's going to put a checkbox in everything, and then I'm going to come down here and hit submit. Okay, and that will create a package that has all of the data from the course in it, everything that we've got in the course from every option and tool set that's in Blackboard. All right, so that'll bring everything. However, and let's pretend I hit submit. I've already got the package created, so I won't click it again. It is a queued process, so once you hit submit, it can take several minutes to complete. You get an email to your Ivy Tech email address letting you know that it's done when it's done. But I'm going to go ahead and click unselect all. All right, so let's pretend we came back in here, and we actually just want to create a package that has certain items from Blackboard. So in that case, if you just want to pull certain pieces from Blackboard, then instead of hitting select all, you're going to come down here, you're going to look at these checkboxes, you're going to decide what is it that I want to pull out of Blackboard. And what we recommend if you're working on doing that sort of middle option, the yellow option of pulling pieces and parts, is to create a package that only has assessment pieces in it. So for instance, in this course, I know there's graded discussion boards, so I want discussion boards. I know I want my grade center columns and settings. All right, so I select that. And then I also know I want tests, surveys, and pools. All right, tests, surveys, and pools. That bring over all my quizzes and exams and tests and everything I have in that area. So this will bring discussion boards, grade center columns, and test surveys and pools over to my course in IvyLearn. If that's all I want, I could go ahead and hit submit, and that would create a package that only has those items. So that would actually leave out everything in the class sessions area, which is an option if you want, and allow me to recreate all those sort of text-based objects that are in Blackboard now cleanly in IvyLearn, but it would bring across most of the graded items such as discussion boards and tests. You should keep in mind when you're looking at this list of items, there are some of these items that will not transfer, such as blogs, journals, and wikis. IvyLearn doesn't have an equivalent tool for those, so there is no blog tool, there's no journal tool, and there's no graded wiki tool. So if you try to bring those over, they won't actually come across. You'll have to redevelop those using like discussion boards or assignments in IvyLearn. And assignments is the other piece that you're probably wondering about. How do I create, how do I include assignments in my export? Unfortunately, the only way to pull over assignments is to include class sessions because assignments don't have a particular type in here. You have to include class sessions to include that information. In this case, I'm not going to select that. I'm just going to pull over discussions, grade information, and then test surveys and pools. And then I would hit submit, and it would create that package. Okay. I've already created those packages. They're listed here in my list. So this package right here, the third one in the list, is my full course download, and the fourth one is my just assessments download. And when I'm ready to download these, I get the email that says they're available. I come back to this page, or I hit refresh if I'm still on the page, and then I would simply just click on the file name. And it will download to my computer. By default, you would want to save file, and it's going to download to your downloads folder, which on a Windows machine is in my documents. And I'm actually on a Mac, obviously, so it's a little bit different here. But on a Windows machine, you would just click on it, click OK to save it, and it would put it in your downloads folder. All right. So that's how you get content out of Blackboard. You can, again, create a full package that has all of the course information in it, and you can create a package that has just limited pieces of the course. It's sort of up to you what you want to try. I imagine many of you will want to try the full course export first because, that's just naturally what you're going to want to do. And so you can do that. You can pull a full course export and then import it and see what happens on the IvyLearn side in terms of what all content it puts in the course. So with that, we've sort of covered the first part of the transition document, exporting course from Blackboard. So let's talk about how do we get that content in IvyLearn. All right, but I do want to make a small digression here. If you are going to use the statewide course template, you will want to import the course template first before you bring in your Blackboard content. It'll work better that way. From our testing, that's really what we recommend. So I'm going to start with that. How do you pull in the course template? But keep in mind, if you don't want to use the course template, you are not required by policy to use it, except in online courses. So you don't have to, but we do really recommend it. It's really good for students in terms of usability and consistency in terms of their experience in the learning management system. So in IvyLearn, when I first log in, I'm going to be taken to my dashboard, and I'm going to have a list of all my courses. Now I have a whole bunch of courses because I'm responsible for quite a few of them in my former role as an instructional designer. And so I'm going to go ahead and just look down here to find my course, and I'm going to cheat and search for it because I have a ton of them. So I'm going to work on my mobile applications development course, and I actually have two shells so that I can show you a couple of different things. And to make this a little bit faster, I have gone ahead and opened those courses already. So when you come into IvyLearn, you're ready to pull your content in, you would go ahead and click on your course, load it, and you take it to a screen that looks like this. So this is an empty course. Nothing is in it. It hasn't got any content. We're in a completely fresh new shell, and this is what your courses will look like as well. Again, I know I want to use the course template in this class, so I'm going to go ahead and load the template first. And to do that, there's a couple of ways. We're going to use Commons because the template is stored in Commons, so you all have access to this right now in IvyLearn. If you went to Commons, you could search and find it and load it into your courses, the statewide template. So there's a couple of ways to access it. First is in the main navigation area, in IvyLearn, which is on the left-hand side in green, there's a Commons button on the left. You can click that, it'll take you straight over to Commons, and you can load it from there into whatever courses you would like to load it into that you're an instructor in. However, you can also do it from the course homepage. So when I'm sitting in here on the homepage after I've clicked on my course, you'll notice on the right-hand side there is an Import from Commons button, and I can just click on that Import from Commons button, and it'll take me over to Commons as well. So it's really the same process, get you to the same place. This is the Commons homepage. You can search for courses, modules, assignments, quizzes, discussions, pages, documents, videos, audio, and images, all sorts of content. It does allow us to download and share content, both share and pull down content from other institutions. We have that turned on, so you can actually grab content from other schools if you'd like. And so you can see there's like 19,000 current pieces of content in the available to us, which is a lot of content on there. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But for right now, I'm really just looking for a piece of Ivy Tech content. And so you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of content to sift through just to find the template. And so one really quick tip is this little green check mark here, slider button that says Show Public Resources. If you click this, it will turn off the public resources and only show you the Ivy Tech content. So now you can see there's only 10 results, much easier to deal with. You can also search, so I can type in statewide course template. Oops, helps flip it a space. Okay, which simplifies my list. Okay, when you do this search on statewide course template, you won't see two identical ones like I have. This one is a special sharing that we're doing, testing something out. You'll see this one that says statewide course template, summer 2017. And to access the content, you simply click on the title. So I'm going to click on statewide course template, summer 2017. That takes me to the page that sort of gives me a little information about the file or the content that I'm looking at. In this case, it's a full course. You can read a brief description. You can see on the left-hand side here, there's some navigation. I can review. So right now I'm looking at the summary. And included on the summary page is also reviews. So you can go in and actually rate content and leave feedback. So you can actually see feedback that's been left about the course template. So I currently have a 5-star rating. And on the left-hand side here, you can see a list of different things you can look at that's in this package. So if I want to look at a list of what pages are in it, I can click on pages and I can see, okay, these are all the pages that are listed in the course. If I want to look at quizzes, I can click on quizzes and see what quizzes are included in the course. I can look at the modules. So what modules are included, there's an instructor resources module, a resources module, and modules 1 through 16. And then I can also look at the version notes. This would be if the course has ever been updated. This will detail sort of what happened in the last update. So here's some interesting things that were updated the last time that this course was updated. These are what changed. And so you can see that information there. So if I click back to the summary, I do want to go ahead and load this. To load it, very easy. You'll see on the right-hand side, import into Canvas, and you'll see a list of your courses. You can import into all courses. I don't recommend that after you've done this the first time because you're going to have courses with different content. You just really want to find the course that you're looking for, and it's by course name. So in this case, you can also search to make your list a little shorter. So I'm going to type in Proj Mobile because I know that's the name of my course. It's a project shell, mobile application development. And I could say I have 2 courses. In this case, I actually think I want to load it in both courses, so I can actually just click the checkbox for multiple, but I can just choose one too if I just want to load it into one course. But if you have multiple courses, you teach multiple sections of the same course, you can load those all in at the same time. So then I'm going to click on Import into Course. That will actually start the import process, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard real quick and go back to my course. And takes just a second to load because I have a ton of courses. And so when I'm in my course, and so this is my other mobile applications course, my 283. I have SDev 282 and SDev 283. When I'm in this course, if I want to check the status, I can click the home page to refresh it, and you'll see that it actually has loaded some content. Which is good. But I can also always check the status of an import from Commons by going to Settings. And remember, in your course, your navigation's on the left here, and it always starts with the home page and ends with Settings. So Settings is where I want to go, the last link there. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see there is an option here for import content into this course. This is where you can check the status of content imports as well as where you would go to actually import content. So I'm going to click on Import Content into this course. And you can see here there was a Canvas Commons import, and if I mouse over this, I can see it's the statewide course template, summer 2017, which is definitely what we wanted. I can see it's completed with 1 issue. I can click on this 1 issues link to see what actually happened, and there's just a little issue here on the YouTube uploader. That's actually something that my team needs to look at because it's probably an issue with the LTI, but nothing to worry about in terms of using the actual template. Won't cause any issues. So we're good to go. The template has been loaded into the course. I'm going to really quick just pull up my other course so I have it ready for the next part. But I kind of want to give you a quick preview of what's in the template so you're aware and you can make the judgment call of whether you want to use it. I know we definitely recommend it, but I want to give you an idea of what's in it. So the first thing you're going to notice that's in the template is a sample homepage with links to each of the 16 modules, as well as the syllabus. And so you can definitely grab this information, this template, if you want. And we have great information on the Faculty Resource Center if you want to grab it on how to change these images and banners. We have a guide on there on the right-hand side when you log into the Faculty Resource Center. If you haven't used the Faculty Resource Center before, you'll want to go ahead and sign up for that. You click on Help in the left-hand side in the IvyLearn navigation, and you're going to see an option here for IvyLearn Faculty Resource Center. You go ahead and click on that link. It's going to open up a web page. You'll authenticate, and then you'll have to request to join our private Canvas community page. It usually takes 24 to 48 hours for those requests to be approved. That's one of the things that we're responsible for in my department. But once you get access to it, you'll be able to grab a lot of really great resources about IvyLearn right there, as well as share resources. It's a community page, so you can share just like we can share content and provide links. But one of the great resources on there is a guide on how to work with these buttons and the banner image as well. So the homepage is there for you. Again, it gives students quick access to their modules. We also include the syllabus. So if you click on syllabus, you'll see the syllabus template is provided here. One major difference is that we're providing it inline. It's right there. They don't have to open a separate document. All the information is available, and so you can see that. One of the reasons that we really think this is beneficial is that the course summary is available at the end of the syllabus, which includes a full list of all of the graded activities in the course, as well as their due dates. So the syllabus would now include the full list of assignments and due dates in addition to all the other syllabus information. So we really think that's a great feature and another good part of using the syllabus template or the course template. You can also print this because I know that's one of the big questions I get when people are like, we're not providing a Word document version. We're not, but you can easily print this document. So if you're in your browser, you can choose print. It doesn't have the weird bugs that Blackboard had with printing. It's going to show everything page by page. It's not going to just print the first page, and it will include that full course summary as well. So you'll get all the graded, you get all the sort of standard syllabus stuff as well as the course summary at the end. So we really think that's a great feature that students can take advantage of now if they want a printed copy. They can grab that. All right, so that's the syllabus area. I'm going to click over to modules, and in modules, This is sort of what we would call class sessions, and that's one major difference, right? A terminology difference between IvyLearn and Blackboard. In Blackboard, we were able to create areas on the left-hand side here as much as we wanted and call them really whatever we wanted. In IvyLearn, we're really restricted into using the sort of standard language in any course that we really want to be able to replicate or move. In this case, we've decided to go ahead and change the language from saying class sessions and sessions to modules or module. And so that's one of the things that you'll have to do when you uplift your content into IvyLearn is, do a quick find and replace and change all the references from class sessions and sessions to modules. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But that also means that there were a couple of areas in Blackboard where we were able to create like extra content areas that we've had to sort of fold into the modules area. So you're going to now see instructor resources is now at the top. In this case, there's no content in it, but it's a module at the very top for instructors to sort of put their own files that they don't want students to have access to. You'll see that the resources area is now built in also to modules. It's actually the first module that students will see, and they included in there are college resources and course resources. College resources includes links to like the library and the Canvas student guides and stuff like that. And then course resources includes any links that you add based on this specific course that you're teaching. And then below that are the 16 modules, which are equivalent to the 16 class sessions. We have done some simplification to the template, so you won't see like what we call the 5 standard headers in Blackboard. You're going to notice that most sessions only have 2 headers. They have an overview, and then which sort of starts off the session, and then next steps. And what we've done is eliminated the sort of arbitrary assignments and assessments header and the sort of arbitrary learning activities header so that you can sort of sequence your content in whatever order makes sense. We recognize that in some cases it makes sense to break everything up between learning activities and assessments, but in some cases it makes sense to allow the mentor or developer or faculty member to sort of put the content in whatever order they want based on the order that students should work through the content. So we've sort of removed those headers and allow folks to just move content in whatever order they want between the overview and sort of the wrap-up. In the headers themselves, or in the pages themselves, in the overview, you'll find we combined the sort of summary item and the course and module objectives. Those have been sort of combined so that instead of having 2 different pages that students have to click next through, they now have one. That's one of the things you're going to want to look at as you're transitioning your content is, does it make sense to have all of these things as separate items? In Blackboard, when you looked at content in a course, so if I go to a class session here and we go into, say, session 1 or 2, the content was displayed vertically, right, up and down with everything sort of displayed on one page. That's very different in Canvas. Canvas is very flat, and so things that you would have seen vertically like this, the overview and then learning objectives, these may not make sense as separate pages in IvyLearn, and so we'll show you that when we import the content. The only other required piece, we did include a little sample learning activities page, but the only other required piece is the next steps, and this is where you sort of would do the summary of what you did in this session and sort of how it relates to the next session and the rest of the course, and if there's any sort of important things you want to tell folks about that are coming up, maybe a midterm or project or something like that. So that's really all that's included, the homepage, the syllabus, and the modules, but we do recommend if you want to use the template, that's the first thing that you should load into the course, and then once you have that loaded, you can go ahead and load your actual content into the course from Blackboard. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's load some content from Blackboard. To load content from Blackboard, so we've logged into our course, we've got the template loaded, I'm ready to go ahead and load content from Blackboard. I'm going to click on Settings, and in the right-hand side here, I'm going to go back to that Import Content into this course button, okay, where we went before to check the status. I'm going to click on that, and instead of just looking down here at the status, I actually want to go ahead and import content. So I'm going to choose which type of content I want. So I'm going to click the drop down, and you got a bunch of options here. In this case, I want a Blackboard export file. That's this first Blackboard option. And you want to choose the first Blackboard option because you do want a Blackboard 9 file. which is what we have, Blackboard 9. So I'm going to select that. You're going to notice some additional options come up. First is to select my export file, so the source. I'll click Choose File, and then I will browse to it. It's in my Downloads folder, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the one that's the full course export. Okay, so this is my full course export, and I'm going to click Open. So it's going to list the file name there. You can leave the default question bank alone. In this case, this is not a feature that we're going to need with our Blackboard export. This would be if you were doing like a QTI import under content type. Under content, then it's going to ask me, do I want to pull all content or just specific content? In this case, I'll select all content because I just want to show you what it looks like if you pull everything in. But you can also choose to sort of pick specific content, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then I have the option to overwrite assessment and adjust events and due dates. In this case, I'm going to leave those unchecked because I just want to pull all the content in from Blackboard. So I'll hit import, and that will upload the file to Canvas, and I can see the file here. I can see it's a Blackboard Learn job, and you can see it's running, and this is the progress bar. And so we'll give it a second. It will go through its import process, and we will then take a look at the results. And while that's running, I will jump over here real quick so we don't waste too much time. Whoops. And this is my other course, my 282 course. I'm going to go to Settings. Remember, we loaded the template in both of these courses. And I want to show you in this course, I'm just going to import the package that has just the assessment pieces. So I'll go back to Settings. I'll click on Import Content into this course. Under Content Type, I'll select Blackboard 6789. I'll choose my other file, which is this one, which only has my assessment pieces. I'm going to click Open. I'll do all content again, and I'll hit import, and we'll let that one go for a second and let it run. I'm going to jump back over to 283, and it should be done now. Yep, we can see Blackboard Learn is completed, and it had 9 issues. So the 9 things were problematic in this import. What's really kind of cool is you can click on any of these to go view specifically what the problem is. So here's some questions that it was unable to figure out what the correct answer is for the question, so I would want to go in and review those. And then this has some missing links in the assignments and an announcement. So I can click on any of these, and it's going to jump me in a new tab right over to the assignment, and I would want to just basically open this assignment in Blackboard and compare it to what's showing up in IvyLearn and make sure that it actually is what I want. Okay, and in this case, you know, we won't do that, but you would just jump over to Blackboard, open up that session in Blackboard, and just make sure it's good to go. So now that my content has been uploaded, there's a few things I need to do. First of all, I want to go make sure that all my content is in modules. So I'll click on Modules. And because I loaded the template first, the template items will show up first in the list. So I'll scroll down past all of those. You'll see the 16 sessions. And right after session 16, I should start to see the start of content from Blackboard. And I do. So course information, that's the course information button where the syllabus and calendar are stored. So I brought that over. This is the class sessions folder, not the actual sessions themselves, but just the folder that the sessions were in. Keep in mind, again, Canvas is a very flat system, so you can't have folders inside of folders inside of folders like you could in Blackboard. Then we'll see session 1 with a bunch of content, session 2, bunch of content, session 3, bunch of content, session 4, and on and on and on, and we'll have all 16 sessions. So I know everything came over, okay? And I see resources, because again, resources, there's no like extra area over here for resources, and same thing for instructor resources. And it did make instructor resources down here available to students, which obviously would be a problem. So we wouldn't want that. We would want to go ahead and unpublish that, and I can quickly talk about that real quick. Anything that has this like green cloud with the check mark is published. That means students can see it. Anything that has the gray cloud with the X means it's unpublished. Students can't see it. So in this case, I'd want to go ahead and unpublish this module, which would mean anything inside the module is not visible to students regardless of whether it's published or not. But I could also quickly go through and unpublish these as well. All right. So that is doing the import, and we can see our content is there. And at that point, I could start, messing with it, getting it ready to go for my course. But in looking at this, there's a whole lot of stuff that maybe I didn't want. I really don't need this course information stuff. I don't really need that class sessions folder. And if I look through some of the other areas like pages, which is like the equivalent of an item, and I go to view all pages, I'm going to notice there's like a ton of pages, and in some cases there's even duplicate pages that I don't necessarily need. So if I scroll through these, it is listed alphabetically. There's a ton of pages in this course. If I go all the way down here, notice there's like 13 copies of this textbook item, or 12 copies of this textbook item. That's because in each session in Blackboard there was a copy of this information, and we had to maintain them as separate items. Except in IvyLearn you don't actually have to do that. You can have one item called textbook and link that into multiple places. And so what I would really probably want to do is delete 12, all these -2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 copies, and just keep one copy and then link it into each session. That's a much better way of maintaining your material than having 13 copies that you have to then update all 13 of them when something changes. And it's a cool feature in IvyLearn that we didn't have in Blackboard. If I go to the files area, this is sort of where all the stuff is in your course. I'm going to notice there's all sorts of crazy folders in here, stuff that doesn't even necessarily make sense. Homepage buttons comes from the statewide template. That is where the homepage buttons are. But then there's other folders like this external files, 2017, and then courses, and then project templates and all sorts of stuff. And then there's an SDev folder that has some stuff. And then there's this RES 00044 file. And these all came over from Blackboard. And it's all the stuff that you maybe don't need. Like, why is there a headshot of Dennis Dell in my course, in my mobile applications development course? Dennis is an awesome guy from Central Region, but not sure why his headshot is included in my course. And this is what you're going to find if you pull entire courses over from Blackboard to IvyLearn. You're going to get a lot of junk and stuff that you don't want or need. So this is why we recommend not pulling a full course and dumping it in here. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and show you how do I actually, delete this. So let's say I don't want all of this stuff. I want to go ahead and clean it up. And I want to start over and maybe just do pieces and parts. Very easy to do. You just go to settings. Then you go to reset course content, which is in the right-hand side. It's a couple buttons below the import content into this course button, but you'll see an option for reset course content. If I click that reset course content, it's going to give me the big warning, hey, are you sure you want to do this? You're going to delete everything in the course. You won't be able to get it back. It's unrecoverable. Are you sure? Big red button. Click it if you want to actually do it. And so I would click this button to reset it. Unlike Blackboard, it's not going to have you type in delete in all capital letters, but this is the equivalent of the bulk delete operation in Blackboard. So I'll click reset content, and that will dump everything out of here. We'll lose all of our content that we loaded, including the template, but we can quickly reload the template if we wanted to. So that said, I now have reset my course. There's nothing in it. If I go to home page, we shouldn't see anything. There shouldn't be anything under files. Folder's empty. We lost Dennis's headshot. And I can go ahead and reload content. So let's say I want to go ahead and reload some content. So I've said that didn't work for me. I don't want all that junk. I just want to pull in specific parts of content. Well, you have two options. You can either do the route that we went to at first, which is to pull over in the 282 course a package that only has the assessment pieces. So if I go to home in this course, we loaded the template, but if I go to modules, you notice there should not be any modules in here. There should only be the 16 modules from the template. You won't see any of the sessions because we didn't bring any of that over in our second Blackboard export that just had discussion boards, tests, and grades in our columns. But what I will find if I go to quizzes are a list of all my quizzes from my course. Okay, so here's all of my quizzes. Final, midterm, session 1 quiz, 15 quiz, some surveys, all the quizzes that were in the course. And same thing if I click on discussions, I will see all of the discussions. There's like 5 or 6 discussions in this class. They're all there. And in theory, I shouldn't see much in files I definitely don't. All I see are the files that would be associated with the course template. So I didn't bring over any of that junk that I didn't want. Same thing with pages. I shouldn't really see anything under View All Pages other than the home page and the module stuff that comes with the template. So that's actually a really clean way to do it. So now all I would do is go into modules, and I would start filling out my information right from Blackboard. Okay, so I could start editing module 1, and I could type in my overview, and if I want, I could actually go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, and make this a little bit smaller, and I could work right back and forth between Blackboard and IvyLearn to rebuild this information. Okay, and so that's really sort of what we recommend. It helps keep things clean in terms of what you're going to see in IvyLearn. The text will be formatted appropriately in terms of size. You won't bring over the weird, like this font size is different than this font size, which is different than this font size. You won't bring over that weirdness into IvyLearn, so it'll look nice and clean for students. It'll look professional, and so that's what we recommend. We also recommend using the default font sizes so that it's visible. It's very easy for screen readers to work with it. When you start modifying font sizes, it becomes harder for screen readers to actually read the content. So we definitely recommend use the default font size, which may look a little small to you, but it's going to work better for students with assistive technology, and you can always zoom in using your browser to make it a little bit bigger when you're viewing it. And it won't mess it up that way for screen readers. So but let me go ahead and show you one other option. So this is one option, just bringing in those pieces and parts from Blackboard. But there's also another option to bring in pieces and parts, and that is to do it on the IvyLearn side. So we're back in our 283 course. This is the one where if I click the home page, whoops, this page. This is the page of the course where we just reset it and got rid of everything. And so let's go to settings, and let's go to import content into this course again. And then we're going to go ahead and select under content type the Blackboard 6789 file. We're going to click choose file. We're going to select that full course export that we did on the IvyLearn side, or on the Blackboard side. So again, I'm going to pick the course file that has everything. This is not the one that just has assessment pieces, because I'm going to show you how you can select specific content on the IvyLearn side and help clean up your course that way. So we'll select the file. This so far nothing different, but the difference here is going to be I'm going to select the option for selecting specific content. So rather than all content, I'm going to choose select specific content, and then I'll hit import. All right. This is going to work very similarly to what we just did when we pulled all the content in. It's going to say running, and then it's going to process here on the right-hand side. But instead of actually just pulling everything into the course, what it is going to do is give me a green button that says select content. And so I'm going to click that green button, and it's going to bring up a list of everything that's in that Blackboard course export. And it's going to let me select specifically from that Blackboard course export, what do I want to bring in. So under modules, I can choose not to bring in course information or class sessions. I can select just the 16 session folders, because I do want the session folders. I do not want the class session folder or the course information folder. I don't necessarily want resources or instructor resources, because I'm going to rebuild those using the template, and so I'm only going to select of the 20 modules the 16 session folders, okay, and that's all. Under assignments, I can say, okay, what do I really want here? I want the actual assignments that are in the course, so that's all these ones that start with S, S01, S02, 22, and then the midterm and the final. Want all of those. But you're going to ask yourself, what are these assignments up here that are called assignment, survey, test, total, weighted total? Like, these are columns, right, in IvyLearn, in Blackboard? And they are. So when we're talking about Blackboard, if we bring that back up really quick, and I go to the grade center, the two things you're not going to see in IvyLearn are calculated columns like total and weighted total. IvyLearn just has one of those. It's at the end of the grade center. And you configure it either to be weighted or not weighted, depending on how you set it up. And we'll talk more about that when we do grading, the grading grade center training later on in the coming weeks. And then you have these other items, and these other items, assignment, survey, test, discussion, blog, journal, and self and peer. These are the categories that existed in your course in Blackboard. So if you do use weighted grades, and you've ever gone into the Grade Center and you went to manage and you did categories, you're probably familiar with creating categories and putting content in categories for weighted grades. And so it's actually bringing these categories across as well. And you may not want those, especially if you're not using weighted grades or you're not using all of these categories. You can either select or not select them. It's up to you. In this case, I'm not going to select any of them because in this course, we're not using weighted grades, so they don't really matter. And I definitely don't need like a blog, journal, or self and peer category. So I'm just going to not select those. I'm just going to select the actual assignments. All right. And then I can do the same thing under all these other items. I can select just the quizzes from the quiz that I want. I don't need any of these surveys. I'll recreate it. I do want question banks, so I do want the midterm, the final, and then the session 1 and session 15 question banks. I do want the discussion boards, but I don't necessarily want the help forum or the cyber cafe, so I'm just going to select the ones I want. I'm going to give you a tip here. If you've follow anything that we've done before, we maybe haven't given this tip, but it's a really great tip. The wiki pages, this is all the pages, like the session overview and the learning objectives and content, and it's going to bring all of those over if you select this checkbox. What you actually can do to make it really easy is just leave this blank, don't select anything, and it will only bring over the pages that are associated with the modules that you selected. So if I leave it blank, it's still going to pull over all of the pages that are connected inside a class session folder, but it won't bring over any pages or items that are not connected to a class session folder. So that's a really excellent tip. It helps keep it clean. You will want to go ahead down here, select if there's any announcements you want to keep. I do want the first day announcement. I do want the rubrics. I want all the rubrics. In this case, there's just one. And then again, in files, I can look at this and say, okay, what do I really want? I want the FAQ V2. I probably don't need the original FAQ because we now have a V2. Do I really need 15 copies of the how to submit my programming assignment file? Probably not. I'll just select this one. And then I'll select I want this item. And you can go through these, click the checkbox to see what's actually in there. Like I probably don't need that one. I do want that one. I don't want the headshot picture, so I'll leave that off. And I have other options here for files that I may or may not want to include. So you can select what you want from there and then hit select content, and that will import just those items you selected. It's a much cleaner way of pulling in your import than just dumping everything, and this way we only get the pieces and parts that we actually wanted from Blackboard. So definitely recommend that as another option, whether you create your own export that only has like the assessment pieces, or you do a full export, and then on the IvyLearn side you do that select content and you pick only the pieces that you want. It's another really great way to get your content in. So now that my content is in here, I'll click the home page, and then I'll go down to say modules, and in modules we should just see the 16 session folders. Yep, so there's session 1. And so when I'm ready to start working with this content and updating it, all I have to do is on the module page, I'd recommend starting with editing the names of all the items. So when I'm looking at this module, I can click the cogwheel and hit edit and change this from session 1 to module 1. Same thing down here. Let's actually go into the overview page. And on the overview page, there may be, actually, let's go to learning objectives. On the learning objectives page, there's several things I have to change. I have to hit edit to actually edit the page. But once I'm in the page edit screen, I have several options. I can change the title up here to module 1. And then I also need to go through the text and make sure I've updated all the references. So what I'm going to do is actually use the find feature in my browser and hit Control F and type in session. And it will highlight.
Matthew?
Yes.
Excuse me just a moment. I have several questions in our question box, wanting to know exactly what content area that you're in where you're selecting these items.
Okay, yeah. So let me go ahead and get out of this screen. And so I'm in the modules area. We always work from the modules area. That's our recommendation. So I'm in modules area in module 1 or session 1. And so I went into the session 1 learning objectives and content. I just clicked on it to access that particular page. and then I clicked edit to actually make changes to this page. So that's where we're at. And so again, you'll want to make updates to the references. So change the title to Module 1, and then I'll just do a quick search using Control F on your keyboard and type in the word session, because that's one of the things I need to change, and I'll change it to module. And you can also use this to search. Session is one thing you need to change, but also Blackboard. There doesn't happen to be any references to Blackboard on here, or probably BB that I need to change. Nope. So I'm good to go there. Or start here. Nope. Or course information. Nope. None of those things need to be changed on this page. So I've updated all my references, and I can go ahead and hit save. And so now this page has been uplifted. It now says Module 1. By the end of this module, you'll be able to, and here's the content for this module. So that's one of the things you're going to have to do to get this updated and looking the way that you want it to in IvyLearn. So I'm going to go back to the modules page, and we can now see that this has been updated to Module 1, Learning Objectives and Content. And so you'd have to work through your various pieces of content here, and you'll want to look and see about like what items should I consider combining. Again, we combined the overview and learning objectives and content, so that might be something I would want to do here. I could just open the session overview in one tab and the learning objectives and content in another tab, and then copy and paste the learning objectives and content into the overview to combine them. Or you may look at it and decide, I like them better separate. It's going to be sort of something that you're going to have to decide as you go through. In terms of building your course, you might have very different items in your different sessions. So with that, I'm just going to jump back over to the transition document real quick. All the steps for doing the general process are detailed in here. So importing the course template, if you want to use the template, which again we recommend. Importing content into IvyLearn. So actually, how do you load those Blackboard content files are in there. And then uplifting your content in IvyLearn. This is a really important section. I definitely recommend reading through. It's sort of set up as like a checklist with little check boxes. There are things that you're going to want to look for. You need to update all the references that are to like sessions or class sessions, Blackboard or BB or course information, or start here to what we're calling them in IvyLearn, which would be modules or module, IvyLearn, and syllabus. So again, really important to reference this document. There's a lot of other good tips in here, things you'll want to look for, combining pages, as I mentioned, deleting unnecessary pages if you did a full import. The descriptions for tests won't automatically come across, so you'll need to build those again from scratch by editing the test or quiz and pasting in the description from Blackboard. Make sure that everything's published, all that kind of stuff. And then there's some great tips down here, including searching using Control F and some other stuff in there as well. So that's the general process. So definitely take a look at this transition guide. Hopefully you found sort of what we presented helpful. Kathy, are there any other questions?
Yes, actually, excuse me. David had some questions about when you were adding that content. Let me go back to when I find this exact question. When you started added content, where did you get that content from? What part of Blackboard? I think it was part of the import. When were you cleaning it up? That kind of thing. So that process got a little convoluted. And then also, he's having difficulty when he deletes content, like, for example, textbook links, then it also still remains. He's having a hard time actually deleting that content.
Okay. Well, you grab content from Blackboard, so that's where everything that I pulled in came from Blackboard or the template from Commons. So in Blackboard, when I'm in a course, I would just go down to, in the control panel, Packages and Utilities, the Export Archive Course page, and create a course export. So course export package will actually allow me to pull content from Blackboard. I can select either all content or selected pieces of content, and so you can hit select all to pull like everything from the course in Blackboard, or you can select specific areas like discussion boards, grade center columns and settings, and test surveys and polls. So that's where I got the content from, and then you would just hit submit to create that package. So in this case, I can hit submit, and it'll create a package with just the discussion boards, the test surveys and pools, and my grade center columns and settings. So that's where I got the content from. Additionally, the template came from Commons. You can access Commons from the left-hand side in the main navigation in the big green bar on the left. You can just click Commons and then search for content. So in this case, I searched for the template, which is statewide course template. And keep in mind, as we recommended, you'll probably want to turn off public resources to make it shorter list. And then I just click on the title and can load the content right into my course on the right-hand side under Import into Canvas. I just select the courses where I want to load it. In this case, I was doing it into the project shells for mobile apps, but I could do it into any shells. I could load it into my test shells here if I wanted, and just click the green button to import it. And that's all there is to grabbing content out of Blackboard or IvyLearn Commons. What was the other question, Kathy? I'm sorry.
I think the other question was he was having difficulty deleting content like textbook links when he's importing content.
Textbook links. I mean, so if you're deleting content, there's a couple of ways. So let's say I'm in my course here. If you want to completely reset the course, then you would go to settings, as I did earlier, and choose the recycle or reset course content. That is essentially bulk deleting. That will dump everything out of your course. But if I'm understanding what you're asking, which is to delete specific pieces of content, that would not be the way to do it. That's going to dump everything. So if I go to, say, modules, and I delete something out of modules, let's say I don't want this YouTube video. Well, let's say I don't want the session 1 overview anymore. I would just click the cogwheel, click remove. That will take it out of the module, but it does not actually remove the page. So that is now out of the module, but if I go to pages and I view all pages, you're going to see that session 1 overview is still there. So I actually have to delete it from here as well to actually completely remove it, and you'll see the red delete button. This is like the warning, are you sure you want to do it? And so I would click that to actually remove it. Same thing with files. I have to actually go to the files area to remove it. So like if I didn't want, say, this FAQ v2 PDF file, I'd have to come over here to the cogwheel and choose delete to actually remove it. That'll actually take it out of the course so that it's no longer part of the course.
David has clarified the question just a little bit more. When you deleted your textbook links, if I do a similar delete and then refresh the page, the things I deleted stay there. And then he says have him refresh what he just deleted to see if they are still there. It sounds like a cache issue, David.
Yeah, I'm not sure what textbook links you're talking about. I mean, any content in here. If I go back to modules, the objective, it is gone, the learning objective. And I can go to pages, I'm sorry, the overview. It's gone. The session 1 overview is gone from here as well. So
he says the textbook links you deleted 15 minutes ago. Are you talking about in the Blackboard environment? Because he's in IvyLearn right now, David. I apologize. He says in your example.
Yeah, I'm not sure what textbook links are being referred to because I haven't done anything with like a virtual textbook.
So 15 to 20 minutes ago, you had 16 textbook links. You
We talk about
probably
session links, session modules, sessions, and modules.
I'm waiting for David to answer. Okay, so your content from Blackboard had textbooks 16 times.
Oh, okay. Yes. I think that's in this course. Let's take a look. The textbook page. Now I understand. Yes, this page. Yep. So I haven't actually deleted them, but if I delete the wiki page here,
so you are currently still in the IvyLearn platform.
Mm-hmm. We're in IvyLearn under Pages.
And this is course content that Matthew has brought over from the Blackboard system.
Right, because in Blackboard, in each of the sessions, there were an item called textbook, and when you bring it over to IvyLearn, it turns those into pages, and they have to have unique names. You can't have 16 items called textbook, so it renames them textbook dash whatever. And so I can delete these, and now I just have one version. Okay, so now I'm down to one version, and then you're saying refresh, and they reappear. Just a second, I've got to scroll down because it only loads so many at a time. And I'm only seeing one copy after that, after I refreshed. So if you're having different experience, I mean, obviously my first suggestion is make sure you're using Google Chrome. That is the recommended browser, but we would have to try to duplicate your issue, which I wasn't able to do here, but we can definitely offline take a look at that and try to help you out and figure out what's going on your end. As Kathy said, maybe it's a caching issue or something like that. But it should delete them as long as you're taking them out of the pages area and you have the permission as a teacher role, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Thank you, David, for your patience. I promised you we'd get you the answers that you needed. Hopefully the demonstration helped you kind of identify that process. Sometimes we're just one click away from success, but if you do need additional assistance, you're welcome to contact one of the members of the Center for Instructional Technology, and we'll try to walk through your specific issue with you and find an answer. I want to thank Matthew Pittman for giving such a great demonstration today. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording for today, but I do understand that there's a few of you that wanted me to demonstrate some additional questions real quickly about the syllabus document. So you're welcome to stay online with us. We'll be glad to answer a couple questions for you if you still have any. We do recommend that you visit our Ivy Tech statewide training page. I put that in the chat box for you. We have archives of all of our presentations and documentation to support those presentations as well. So there's lots of topics there. We also have upcoming training events that you can find at that particular location. So thank you for your time and for your participation, and we hope to see you again soon.